Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a very special guest on our channel. Today we're going to discuss starting a business in Barbados. I know guys that we have been missing in action for a few months, because it's not weeks, a few months now. Lots has been going on with both Kevin and I personally, so we haven't been doing a lot of recording. But today I really want to take the opportunity because we have a really important guest on our channel today. I wanted to talk about starting a business in Barbados, how easy it is to start a business, the types of possible business opportunities, and the types of possible challenges you may face, and what the business environment in Barbados is like versus like America or the UK or most of the developed countries. Kev was here a moment ago, but unfortunately you know how it goes with the kids, so he has taken them away to have a bit of fun while I interview Josh today. So hopefully you'll get to see them at the end of our interview. So Josh,
life is a winding road, no telling where it goes.
so Josh, please feel free to introduce yourself and introduce your business and what you do, and tell the people on Beijing Family Abroad what it's like starting a business in Barbados and what are the key things that you think they should know.
Hi everyone, my name is Joshua. I am the founder and CEO of Red Diamond Compost Inc. So we are a biotech social enterprise based in Barbados, with the purpose of ensuring that everyone can have access to clean and nutrient-rich foods. So we do that by creating organic and biologic agrochemicals, so anything from fertilizers, biostimulants, soil amendments, all made from plant or animal sources, with the purpose of enriching the soil, getting the nutrition back into the soil, and ensuring that every ounce of food that you consume is enriching and improves the vitality of your body and your life. So Red Diamond was started back in 2014 is when I originally conceptualized the idea, and now all these years later, I would say operating as a biotech business in Barbados, something that's being bootstrapped from the ground up. I mean, literally taking nothing and turning it into something. It's been a tough journey, one that has had its different challenges, and most often a lot of people would generally face a lot of challenges in the business environment when you are doing something that's new, that's going to be against the norm in whichever territory you're in. So it is a pretty big learning lesson as to how do you navigate that, especially when it comes to like validating your idea. But yeah, we could definitely talk a bit more about some of the basic steps as to how to go about starting a business, whether you're looking to come into the Caribbean, come into Barbados from overseas.
So that's a good point that you raised there about the types of challenges that you face. But before we even jump into the challenges, let's talk about how do you go about starting a business in Barbados. How easy would it be from your perspective? How easy would it be for someone outside to come in and start a business in Barbados, or even for locals to start something, whether small or medium size, and what the things that you need to do and put in place?
Yeah, so it's pretty simple process. Once you cover the basics on your end in terms of figuring out what you actually want to do, what area of business you're going into, who your customers are, all the basic stuff that you could find on any blog on the internet. It's basically going to the corporate affairs office and registering the business, figuring out whether you're looking to just register a business name and operate as a sole individual, or you're actually looking to set up a company, whether LLC or incorporation. Unlike some other territories like over here in the UK and the US, Barbados does not have as many different incorporation types, but basically, you know, once you're registered in your incorporation, the differences that you may have, you know, those will be covered in your bylaws by the attorney. But it's really as simple as that, and making sure that, you know, you have all the legal things in place when it comes to your insurance, when it comes to your national insurance that actually for your employees.
Yeah.
Having those things.
And I have a question for you. Sorry to cross you at this point, but I know you say having all of the legal stuff in place and the registrations in place. In Barbados, is it easy to set up and register your business online, or is it all a walk-in and going into a physical office?
So thankfully now we have the online portal where you could actually do a lot of it online. I can't say how efficient it is because I have not used it myself. It's only the past year or so that it was put in place, but you know, we would have been registered before that existed, so we would have gone in physically to do that. Well, our attorney would have gone in physically to handle that, whereas now a large portion of it you can do online on the corporate affairs website. And you can actually access the forms and see step by step what you would need is all on the corporate affairs website.
Okay, what I will do, guys, I will try my best to link in the description box the type of things that the website that you can go to for a lot more of this information that Josh is referencing, and probably a link to the forms. But do your research, guys. We're just here to just give you a tidbit and to share some information with you, so to make it a bit easier and to give you some ideas.
Yeah. I would say for persons too, especially if you're looking at bigger investments, bigger projects, bigger companies, you know, you're outside coming into Barbados. Invest Barbados would probably be the next best.
Invest Barbados.
Yeah.
So what is Invest Barbados?
So as the name implies, it's an entity designed to facilitate investments in Barbados.
Yeah.
So for all the persons in foreign territories who are looking to enter Barbados and set up their projects, they would basically guide you along these steps and help you avoid, you know, possible pitfalls in ensuring that you have a smooth process of getting a company established in Barbados. Okay, that sounds good. Yeah.
So in terms of like banking and having a certain amount of money in terms of profits coming in from a tax perspective, is there any, and I know you're not an accountant or auditor or anything like that, but from that perspective, is there anything that people should be thinking about or looking out for from a tax perspective yearly?
Yeah, I mean, right now, you know, we got 5% corporate tax.
Okay.
It's a key thing across the board.
Yeah. And
that's really helped local businesses a lot as well. You know, it was always that way as far as I could remember for international businesses. But yeah, it was, you know, the playing field was mid-level, allowing corporate businesses to be able to access that tax rate. You know, so it gives you a lot more breathing space and a lot more room to actually reinvest into the business and be able to develop even further and innovate further.
Yeah. Okay. And another question for you in terms of, well, two questions really. I want to jump into the types of challenges that people should anticipate if they're coming from outside and trying to do business in Barbados, and the things that they'll need to look out for and the pitfalls that they should try to avoid. That's one. And then another thing I wanted to go into from your perspective and the things that you're seeing on the ground. I know you're in agriculture specifically, doing biostimulants and organic fertilizers and that type of stuff, but what other opportunities do you see in Barbados that you think would be beneficial to the people in Barbados, not necessarily only to companies, but from a people perspective and communities? What other opportunities you think are there? So let's delve into that one first, and then we could go into the challenges.
Right. So in terms of, I mean, the opportunities right now, we are definitely promoting ourselves as the bio island of the region and pretty much the world. The biotechnology, life sciences, this is the new emerging market in Barbados, and it's going to be ramping up very, very, very quickly. And you know, we're all going to be seeing a lot more investments in that space. I mean, when you really look at Barbados as an island, a small island with what, you know, have been promoted as limited resources for many years, the reality is that there are a lot of untapped resources and a lot of untapped potential when it comes to again that biospace, dealing with life sciences. So whether you are dealing with agriculture, whether you're dealing with food development, food science, you're dealing with pharmaceuticals, nutraceuticals, all these different areas, Barbados is like this. Is this gem in the Caribbean Sea? I mean, as we would normally say, but for me, I see it as the best place on earth to actually be able to test and develop and build models that you even want to export globally. You know, we love to say in Barbados, you know, when it comes to like hurricane season and stuff, that you know, how much God loves us because we are protected, kind of protected in the sense that, you know, as many systems come across the Atlantic, you know, we hardly ever get hit in any, you know, serious ways. And I mean, that again is an ideal situation when you're looking at a location to actually set up a business and set up a real cornerstone for something that you want building to, you know, what could be bigger.
Let's touch on the challenges now, the types of challenges, because realistically, I mean, Barbados is still a young island, right? And there are things here in the UK that we get that we probably take for granted that does not come as easily or as quickly as it would in Barbados. So for example, when setting up a business, you could pretty much do that in a couple minutes online, right? And get confirmation back, depending on what type of business it is. But I know in Barbados that may take some time because people got to review, approve, and all of that stuff. Touch on the challenges and the types of challenges and how you think people should go about navigating that, both from within the island, so like young people who now want to start or who are thinking about doing their own business, and then from the perspective of an outsider coming in wanting to set up something new.
For any young person in Barbados, I mean, one of the biggest challenges that you're gonna have across the board is time, you know, and certain things take a lot longer than you would expect or than you would want.
Island time. Island time is a real thing, people.
It's something that really hit the air, but it's a true thing. It's something that we still have to, you know, evolve out of, I would say, because time is money.
Exactly.
So, you know, the more time, the more expense. So for me, I have actually been blessed to have certain processes, even our establishing the company, happen a lot faster than expected. Even, you know, when the attorney got it back, she was like, she couldn't believe how fast they got it back. And then, like the next week, we saw the office put out a notice that they had a backlog or backup of processing.
Of applications to process.
So I mean, things could vary. So sometimes you could get through, you could be lucky enough to get through really quickly, but then there's other times that there could be backlogs or, you know, systems could crash. It's not something that happens too frequent, but it's just the understanding that things would not happen as fast as in the UK or in the US. And that's, I would say, really and truly across the board, whether you're dealing with government institutions, whether you're dealing with other private companies, whether you're dealing with individuals. Understanding a bit of the culture is really important. For young persons in Barbados looking to set up, start a business, start an enterprise, it's better for me to speak to the ones who are looking at big ideas, because that's, for me, that's like my foundation, my core. Everything I look at is something big, is something huge. And then looking at what are those micro steps that you can take to get to that ultimate goal. So it's really having something that is substantial, that is feasible, you know, whether it's you're actually solving a problem that people have, or you have been able to identify this, you know, unique opportunity that you are able to take advantage of, that, you know, possibly no one has seen as yet, or only one or two people have seen, and it's still young, still green. Being able to capitalize on that. But no matter what perspective you're looking at it, I always say you have to really be committed and believe in what you're doing and have a certain level of conviction around the business that you're pursuing, because there are so many different challenges that can arise, things that you probably can't even think of or conceive that could arise. And then when those challenges come, it's a question of what are you going to do. Are you going to double down, dig deep and push through it and continue to grow and evolve, or are you going to let it break you?
On that note, I remember talking to someone who they were considering purchasing land in Barbados. So this is another thing. If you're building a business with a physical presence, whereas, so like in Josh's instance, he is developing a product that he will be pushing to either distributors or retailers, and they already have their brick and mortar infrastructure ready, so he doesn't need to actually build that structure to sell his product. But he's in the back end, he still needs a facility so that he can make the product. If you have a business idea or a product that you want to sell, and you'll be dependent on, for example, you have to purchase land and then build stuff first. One of the key challenges that I've heard of is trying to get, unless you have cash, you already have that cash in hand where you can do it without any interaction with banks or credit unions or anything like that. That will be your that would be the better position. If you have to get a bank involved, now I'm not sure about the legal aspect or the aspect of you borrowing, if you're a foreign entity, for example. So you're doing foreign direct investment, you're outside Barbados and you're looking to invest inside. This is what I'm talking about now. I'm not sure if banks here would lend to you, depending on what your background is. Probably they would. I am not sure about that. But if you're looking to borrow from a bank based in Barbados, I think you would have some form of a challenge unless you have 40% of that money that you're looking to borrow. If you go to the credit union, that can be an extremely lengthy process, and unless you know someone inside or unless you're on the ground to get things moving quickly, that could be a possible challenge in terms of trying to get things done.
So, and in that regard, that's why I would recommend for persons outside coming in, liaising with
someone on the ground.
Like Invest Barbados and organizations that set up to specifically serve that process and serve the needs that you specifically are going to have for trying to establish that business. So again, all those different dilemmas that might arise if you try to go and do it on your own, they would be able to help accelerate certain things for you. Exactly. Okay, that's good to know. So what other challenges you think, other than registration, the legal setup and that type of stuff, what other challenges? How about, so say for example, you have an idea and you're in Barbados now, funding. You have a big idea, it's a great idea, you know that is a need within the communities and within the environment in Barbados. How have you found it from an investment perspective and people investing in your company? How easy is it? Especially in comparison to out here, where you have things like crowdfunding, angel funding, you got different investment avenues where people can actually invest into your business. How do you find it? So in terms of access to finance, basically is the question. It could be a pretty tough landscape, especially when you're comparing it to bigger countries like US and UK. I know there's still and I have colleagues all over the world, and we all have our challenges. We all have the challenges to access to finance, because while there are greater options in countries like the US, UK, Canada, you have greater competition as well. So there's still kind of a balance in terms of you could still find it difficult, but it is always trying to break away from the noise and differentiate yourself from everybody else. And once you're able to do that in those territories and really I would just aggressively go after what it is you want, you definitely would have a great advantage actually secure that funding and that investment. In Barbados, the investment culture, when it comes to like startup, talking about startup culture, investment in that arena, angel investing, seed funding, that is pretty green. You would have instances where persons have, you know, got an investment from someone they knew, or, you know, whether it's a family, whether it's a friend, whether it's a colleague, whether it's an actual, you know, outside investor that came across their business or their idea, and had an interest to invest in it. But then, you know, a lot of times, especially in my experience, some of the people you encounter at that really early age, that really early stage, is not the ideal person that you would actually want investing in your company. You might definitely want that money or need that money, but is that the right investor for you? Because it's really like a long-term relationship. You know, and when you really think about it, if the startup is successful, it's going to be longer than even a marriage. So it's a really serious commitment that, you know, you will be taking at that early stage if you have the wrong person investing in your company. You know, so it is possible. It does happen in Barbados, but it's not the norm. It is not a common thing that happens where you have people investing in companies, in startups. The environment just isn't quite, or the environment or the culture just isn't quite set up with that as yet. You do have a few business support organizations that provide support, that provide access to networks with financing and with funding, but still it's being able to get a match, you know, for your particular startup, for your particular company, getting the right match from an investor. So sometimes it can be a very tough process of trying to figure out how do you actually get it funded. Do you actually have friends and family who are able to put in? But the first thing is, how much money you need? Right? And that can be a tough thing. Like for me, you know.
So question. I know in Barbados, I know we don't necessarily have like the crowdfunding infrastructure set up there, but you may have banking institutions. How easy is it for someone who is now starting up to go and get a loan, a small business loan, to start their business?
Like anywhere else in the world, once you got the money to start the business, you can get the loan. like really? That's the situation. Once you got the money, you can get the loan. You know,
you gotta put up some form of collateral.
Something. You gotta put up something. So, obviously, the banking system is not that different as the other countries. The challenge you may find is if you're in a field again that's new and emerging that bankers within the country are not familiar with. There's no track record to measure it against. How do we know that you are going to be successful at doing this? Do you have a board? Do you have a
whole risk appetite? You know?
The sensitivity to risk is really high. And it, you know, it's understandable to some degree, but where we are trying to really move things forward when it comes to innovation, there's a lot more that could be done in terms of the banking sector being able to finance projects. But I think the advisory services around that is another critical area that needs to be looked at, because not all the management team or committees that the banks would have are, you know, well versed in the different fields, especially these new and emerging. We're talking about life sciences, and we're talking about you know, biotechnology. You know,
so it's probably a bit of education and educating within the banking sector, you feel?
No, it's more than that. It's more than that. They need to actually hire or recruit persons who are well versed in those industries when we're looking at financing. And
but do we have those people in Barbados, you think? Do you have those people?
Yeah, you would be surprised. Well, it depends what angle you're looking at it from, because you can have a technical person provide consultation. Provide that support to the financial institution. So I think for the entities that are really pushing certain industries, I think it's also their responsibility as well to ensure that that sort of the infrastructure is in place, that the banks actually have the support that they need to be able to make responsible decisions when they invest.
I think that's thought provoking though, you know.
Yeah.
Because banking, the whole infrastructure that is there, they're set up to lend to certain types of businesses.
Yeah.
But as we are evolving now and things are changing, I know we're going into a more digital world, even into the type of things that you're looking at right now in terms of organics. Maybe things need to shift, and they also need to reserve a bit of budget for those type of exploratory type projects. You know, as you say, the risk appetite is not necessarily there. Banks generally don't take risks, but at the end of the day, to make sure that Barbados can remain competitive and continue to grow and continue to be that beacon in the Caribbean, I think there are a lot of areas that will need to be looked at holistically, and not just Invest Barbados is excellent. I think that's excellent, but there are certain things around the periphery that the supporting infrastructure that needs to help
needs to be in place,
foster business.
Definitely. I mean, there are a lot of different areas. Even when we're looking at diversifying the financial options, you know, those financing options, because right now in the global startup community, you know, blended finances is you know what people are looking at. Okay, so we're looking at
what's blended finance?
So like you're making a smoothie, right? You're using, say you're making a fruit smoothie and you're using different types of fruits. So it's like when you get in, we're starting a business, we need financing, we're sourcing different types of financing. So that could be debt financing, whether from banks or credit unions. That could be investment from a private investor, or from even a venture capital company or seed funding company. It could be through competitions, it could be through crowdfunding. It's like you have an entire platter of financial options to go about starting the business, and I think that's an area that you know can be built up more in Barbados. I think if you had more competition in a sense around that area, it could help make the traditional financial institutions more open to seeing the possibilities, because if we get aggressive about everything that we're doing and everything that we're going after, and I use that word because you know obviously when we are looking at some other startups, not every single one of them is going to make it big, not every single one of them is going to be hugely successful. But again, you know, you gotta hit you know, you gotta swing at 100 balls to be able to hit at least 10 of them.
And the beauty about it is Barbados is so small. You just need one brilliant company to be able to support the entire country. And I'm not even being funny about that, you know. So sometimes that's why I think I see so many brilliant young people wanting to start a lot of great ideas. Some of them may need mentoring in like finances and how to manage finances and how to set up a business and that type of stuff. But I think that is minor in terms of what they need to do to get there, because they have everything else right, everything else lined up, but that may be the only missing piece. Are there programs to help young people with those type of things in Barbados, you think?
There were a lot more than there are today, unfortunately, I would say. But for me, it's also looking at the quality of a program. A program is nice. Everybody likes to have a program, but the quality of the program. You know, who are the actual persons who are organizing the program, who are the ones who are conducting the program, and what are the results that we're actually seeing, what are the metrics that we're actually analyzing and looking at. Because a big thing for me is the philosophy behind what your pursuit is. For too long, you know, there have been certain phrases that have been continued to be that have been repeated from generation to generation, like the idea that, oh, Barbados is too small, Barbados can't produce X, Y, and Z. And it is for, say, problem solvers like me to say, well, okay, this is the situation that I have, this is the environment that I am in. How can I take this from zero to hero with what I have? It is not, there's no such thing as, oh, it's not possible to do it. It's figuring out how you actually do it. And in going through that process, as easy or as challenging as it may be, is going to make you more resilient and more competitive when you're looking at the rest of the world.
Yeah.
So for me, Red Diamond is to be a global company.
Yes.
And for many people starting out in Barbados, that is a hard thing to actually conceptualize in their mind. The idea that it is possible, that it actually can be done.
Yeah.
And for as many people as we have had come up and innovate and actually originate ideas and businesses or concepts and left a mark on the world, there should be way more of us that have the appetite for that have that global appetite for our businesses and our entities. That way of thinking is something that needs to be you know, fertilized a bit more in Barbados, like you said.
Yeah, there's one last thing that I want to touch on. I think COVID, I look at COVID as a blessing and a curse, because a lot of people died in the process, but a lot of good things happened out of COVID as well, particularly in Barbados, where people started a lot of businesses that they would have never considered starting if there wasn't a COVID. A lot of people lost jobs and didn't have the opportunity to feed themselves other than starting something. And I found that during that process they had a lot of beautiful businesses were birthed. So whether it was someone taking their talent of making clothes, and now they're actually a full-fledged designer, knitting wear, making bathing suits, starting a restaurant. Started off small, you realize that, you know, you really have a knack for this thing and people really like your food, and it growing bigger and bigger. How do we come outside of that box of just delivering in Barbados and start exporting those type of things? Because, for example, I see people out of Jamaica, let's reference that, who package their food and ship it here and sell it, frozen food, right? And people are buying it. How can we get out of the mindset of just doing what's enough to survive and start training people in the idea that you have, trusting that your idea will remain with you? You train people up and you start exporting those products. How do we get to that level, you think?
Well, thankfully we are on the runway of really getting that type of thinking prevalent in Barbados. And one of the best things that's happened is our Barbados Investment and Development Corporation has, you know, branded as Export Barbados, and it's really about getting that export mindset throughout the entire country, throughout every part of the society. That is one of the key pillars in, you know, getting the whole process going a lot faster. But there's still a lot that needs to be done. I would say we're still in the very early stages of what can be done. There are many people who, from the promotions, from the advertising that, you know, has started, are going to start seeing opportunities where other people, you know, see a possibility. And it's just a matter of time before the entire country is going to be of that export mentality, both not just for the products, but being able to export all different types of intellectual property. And this is another area that I say we need to get a lot more serious and aggressive about when it comes to the IP, because Barbados has notoriously created some of the greatest wonders of the world, but, you know, many times have not been able to retain that ownership of it. And I mean, like, when we talk about rum, for example, you know,
I guess that's
the whole situation there. So, and again, we actually taking action globally when it comes to rum. So these are the types of things that,
and not be too quick to sell off when the business does take off, and someone from the outside, you know, sees. So I, for me personally, being a Bajan, I don't mind people coming from outside and trying to start something locally within Barbados to help build up the communities, build up society, build up that environment. What I don't like though is people having brilliant ideas and then easily selling out and quickly selling out when their business start to take off.
Yeah.
And not retaining that ownership and selling out to other people. I don't like that. I wish, and again, I think it goes back to having the more investment opportunities, so that when people fall into hard times, they have a channel that they can go to and tap into to help support them through that challenging time, because all businesses go through challenging times.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? And obviously some businesses naturally die, because not every single business will be successful. But we have seen in Barbados time and time again where there are very, very good Bajan businesses, but because they have either fallen into tough times or something has happened financially, that they had to sell out to other people.
Yeah.
And I wish that bit would stop. And our quality, the quality that we put out is pretty much up there.
Yeah, no, definitely when it comes to the quality of what we produce, is on a global stage, global standard. Excellence is something that we definitely strive for. What I would say is, a lot of times, because again, our environment, the amount of people that would want to have the capital to say invest or save a company, in comparison to those, say, foreign investors, the ratio there, you know, we would be outnumbered in a sense. Of
course, yeah.
So, you know, it will come to a point where we have a lot more local people who are business-minded, investment-minded, who would be in that position to actually be the investor for those local companies. But when we're actually talking about just brand new investment coming into Barbados, one of the things that I think is really important, and I believe there is something, whether it's legislation that I'm not sure if it has passed already or is to be passed, but that investment needs to, you know, have a certain portion of it be local partnership, and that's what we're really looking for. That's what the people on the ground are really looking for. In a sense, that partnership aspect of it, not just that we have entities, you know, coming from outside and coming in and just, you know, being able to benefit off of the island and not put nothing into the country. You know, there's always this story of, oh, they create X amount of jobs. That's all well and nice, but ownership is what the real game is about. Yeah. You know, getting a paycheck is nice, but ownership is real value and real wealth. Yeah. And that's what our people are striving to continue building.
I know we spoke about the opportunities before, but what type of business opportunities do you think there is in Barbados? And like, what type of businesses do you think would do well there that we don't currently have right now?
You know, one of my key industries that I look at outside of my sector will be like logistics. Oh yes, that is true. Shipping and logistics is a huge. Any person who is really serious about shipping and logistics in this hemisphere, you know, in the Western Hemisphere, you know, Barbados is the place to be. We don't have that. It is a game changer, and we are even expanding the opportunity in that area when it comes to how we are managing our ports and everything. Break it down into layman terms when you say logistics, because don't assume everybody on this channel will understand what you mean when you say logistics. I understand, but tell me in layman terms what you mean. Every different facet of it that you can think of, from shipping and trading. So we actually moving, managing the movement of goods in and out of the region. And how about internally? One destination to the next. Are we covered within the island from a logistics perspective? Within the island, there's still a lot of opportunity for growth there. It's difficult to say. It depends what specifically you are looking to do, but I would say there's still a lot of opportunity. There possibly may be some infrastructural needs locally on the ground. Yeah, which would be managed by the government, you mean? So for example, like roads. Yeah. Making sure that they got proper roads. Roads could be roads, signage, having a better digital mapping of the actual island. excuse me.
So
those types of things.
Again, I see those as opportunities too, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
someone could partner with the government to help them on those things. But anyway, that's a different topic.
Yeah, that's a different topic because that goes into a whole, you know, a whole different sector.
Yeah.
But yeah, other opportunities along the lines of digitally managing even logistics chains, supply and demand chains that are, you know, could be in other countries, in other territories, regions, or on the other side of the world. Like Barbados could provide you that safety net for you to actually set up and manage that from.
Yes, yes.
You understand?
Yes.
Yeah, and again, when you're talking about shipping and trading, and specifically like anywhere in our region, Barbados is the place that you would want to be. Like you literally can't get any better. Everyone who comes into the region who is either looking to, you know, is either on the supply side or the demand side, they always identify Barbados as the ideal hub for it to happen. Yeah. So, you know, if anybody out there sleeping on that, you could thank me for that plug. But outside of logistics,
what else?
I mean, there's so many different industries. So we got food science aspect of it. I always say Barbados is a really good place for...
What is food science? What do you mean? Layman terms again.
Listen, Google it. Google food science. Anything to do with the formulation of foods, food-like products, from the chemical composition of it, the mechanical composition of it, taking regular plant material, creating preservatives, creating listen, I'm gonna use more scientific terms. It's not gonna help people.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything in that area as well, I think would be a big opportunity in Barbados. I say Barbados.
And we got the raw materials to cater to that.
We got a lot of raw materials. We got the opportunity to produce a lot more raw materials than we currently do. You know, there's a lot of talk around the idea of what you can produce and can't produce in Barbados because of the size, and that's pure nonsense. There's enough landscape in Barbados for you to create. You have the best environment in the region to produce you know, the native plant material. What I would say again is an ideal place for doing your testing, for doing your product development, and then being able to create your models and export that globally, export those models globally, whichever continent of the world, you know, you're looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah, the opportunity to do it is there. I think the biggest thing is for people to have the will and determination to get it, you know, to get it established.
Yeah, to stick through it when it starts to get rocky.
Yeah, because you definitely, again, because when is ever doing something new easy?
True.
You understand?
Tell me about it.
So you know, I had a conversation not too long ago when I was saying, you know, they were talking about, you know, we have all these different things that, you know, maybe frustrating, maybe challenging. I said, but if you have people with the potential to achieve greatness, when difficulties come and you get upset and quit, how will you ever become great?
Exactly.
You understand?
Yep.
So you have to stick through it, you have to grow through it, learn whatever you're supposed to learn to get better, you know, improve your network. Your network is your network in reality. And in Barbados, that you know, it's true. It's true as anywhere else.
Yeah.
Continue to build a network. Continue to build partnerships that will help you get to the next level and the next step. And I mean, it's only upward and onward from there.
Correct. So people, I'm seeing my babies in the distance, so I will be wrapping this up here. I think, Josh, you have given us so much food for thought. This was deep for me, guys. I'm not sure about you, but feel free to link us in the comments, ask your questions. What do you guys want to know? Like I said, I'll share as much information in the description box as I can that I think would be helpful to you. But again, if you have any specific questions around starting a business in Barbados, or questions that you want to ask, feel free. Josh, from your perspective, in terms of wrapping up here, what advice or final words would you give to someone young like yourself in Barbados who want to start a business? I have lots of questions and I'm a bit afraid to start. What would you tell them?
Right now is the best time to start. Right now, starting today is better than any other time that you're gonna find, and it's a prime time, and taking advantage of it and the opportunity to the resources that you have. Do not underestimate yourself, or do not disqualify yourself from anything.
Yeah.
If it's something that you're passionate about, a real need that you see that you're able to go into that space and make a difference, make a change, and actually serve and add value to people's lives, pursue it wholeheartedly, pursue it fiercely with a conviction and passion. And again, connect, build your network, build your resources, build your partnerships, and continue striving for success. But you know, do not think that, you know, every no that you get, or every challenge that you get, or obstacle, is the end of the story. That's not it at all. It's levels and levels. So just keep striving for success.
Well, Josh, thank you so much for joining me here today. I really appreciate you joining me here today, and sharing your wisdom and your experience, and telling us and my channel obviously a bit about what to expect when they start their business in Barbados. I'm gonna let you see the fam shortly. I'm just gonna call them over. There's a helicopter ahead, so there may be a bit of noise, so I may mute this section of it, but I'll call them over so you can say hello. Kev? We're still recording, come and say hello. This boy is drama, you know. Why your nose looks so? Say hello. Say hi. You had a good time? You had a good time with Daddy? Say hi, Jazz.
Hi.
Hi, guys. But anyway, we are gonna wrap it up here. Thanks again, Josh. I hope to see you guys soon, and apologies again that we've taken so long to push out another video, but hopefully we'll try to be as consistent as possible given our current circumstances. Anyway guys, talk to you again soon.